everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of The Bible Reloaded. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
Well, things have been going pretty well for us so far. 3 episodes out. As of right now, we're almost halfway to the 300 point, where I will get, I'll just be proven wrong.
Also, that's when you guys get a special prize that you guys should really be thinking about, because it could be a list of things.
Comments would be so. I'd say comments. If anybody has an idea of what you might want for 300, of anything you would want of us, then put it down there. Maybe it could even be like a special episode if there's something you want us to talk about. It could
Absolutely. It could be just me and Hugo just talking about something nerdy. Or it could be me and Hugo and, like, what our favorite shit is. Who knows? Just something that you guys want. We'll vote on it.
Yeah. Before we actually get started reading chapter 4, I'd like to add a little caveat here.
I like that word.
It's known, I'm sure you do, this is known as the first murder in the world. I mean, it never specifically says that, but it can be inferred, I guess.
But, I mean, okay, so even if it doesn't say that, these are the kids of the first 2 people. There's nobody else. This is the first murder.
Okay, fair enough.
All right.
But at the same time, they have brothers and sisters, just to make this clear. They have brothers and sisters, according to Christianity. If you're a literalist, this is where everybody in the earth comes from, this one family. So that means lots of intermarrying.
Yeah.
Later we'll get onto that more, but just so you have a frame of reference, this is Cain and Abel, their first 2 children.
And they're banging their sisters.
Hard, I assume.
Probably too much. I don't know how much is too much banging of a sister.
Any?
Probably. I don't have a sister personally, but I still don't want to have sex with her. So, let's get started.
Genesis chapter 4.
Cain and Abel.
Verse 1. Adam made love to his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. She said, "With the help of the Lord I have brought forth a man." Later she gave birth to his brother Abel.
So, she's thanking God for giving birth to man. A lot of people do that when they have kids. Oh, thank God, I have a baby. But I think more along the lines of how she had the baby. I think, oh, I had a baby, thank God. Oh, and also your pelvis ripped open, you probably shit yourself, and your perineum ripped in half, which, if you don't know, it's the taint, the gooch. It's the spot in between the 2 orifices of a woman.
You ripped from your V to your A.
You ripped from your V to your A. And guess whose fault it is? It's God's fault. But you're thanking him for that. For shitting yourself and bleeding and probably almost dying. I imagine it would have been horrifying. Because they don't have a midwife. Adam's there like, why are you splitting in half, basically? And they're like freaking out trying to deliver this baby.
Now Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the soil. So,
a little bit of a time gap there. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, they're born and now they're full-grown adults.
We'll just assume that none of that was relevant.
In between, Adam and Eve had more children.
I'm assuming the sisters that they're banging right now.
Yes.
Hard.
Yeah, so Abel is the one that is the shepherd, Cain is the one that is the farmer or agriculture. Both fine. For ancient man, those are
noble jobs.
Yeah, they're both equally strenuous, they're both difficult. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. Weird. What I want to know is how do they know to bring any sort of offering to the Lord?
Okay, so the offering thing, I could tell you where that comes from. So the Mesopotamian area, once again, we're referencing Asher and Sumeria and all that. What they used to do is they used to have, like, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers were the basis of religion in that area of the world. The Tigris and Euphrates, they flood. It's chaotic. It's not like the Nile where it's like every year it has like a flood season. It's like just whenever it floods is when it floods. So what they have is like this kind of religious system where the gods are like angry at them, the river, and it like they're chaotic and you have to appease the gods. And what they used to have in this area are called ziggurats. You may have heard of that before. It's kind of like a rudimentary pyramid. They're kind of step pyramids, but they're hollow inside. And what they do is they fill them with excess food. Their entire religion and society was based on farming food and getting cattle and raising livestock and taking anything they didn't need to live and they'd shove it into these ziggurats. And the fuller you got them, supposedly the happier the gods get. Well, obviously, it's random chance, you know, and weather patterns.
It's interesting how the local climate can affect the religion. So you've told me about Egypt and the cyclical cycle. The Nile floods at about the same time every year.
About the same time.
And their religion is very cyclical. It has to do with cycles. So that's very interesting.
So they have a life and death cycle, whereas someone with a chaotic climate has this very appeasement-driven religion. It's kind of an amazing revelation once you can wrap your head around that.
Yeah.
And we'll get to the Christianity part of that eventually, but...
In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked with favor on Abel and his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast.
Well, why?
Here's my other issue with this. For one thing, there's no part in here where God says, I want meat offerings,
Right.
which seems like an arbitrary choice anyway. He's not going to actually eat it. It's showing subservience to him.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, what do you think the goddamn lambs were eating? I'm sure they were eating food from his crops.
Right, because it's basically Cain, Abel, Adam, Eve, and then their sisters and brothers. Those are the guys. That's all they do.
So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry? Again, why is God such a condescending prick? I'll tell you why. 'Cause you're a condescending, lying, chauvinistic piece of asshole!
He shook a little bit.
It's okay, it was necessary. Then the Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over
It's
it.
like a fucking rapist just like chilling outside your door. I'll get you, motherfucker.
Verse 8. Now Cain said to his brother Abel, Let's go out to the field. While they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him.
That escalated so fast. He's like, hey, let's go hang out. Dead, bitch.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
How does he know how to murder someone? This is the first murder.
First murder.
I'd like to see someone walk onto the first murder scene.
Just be
The
like,
first Caruso. Clever punchline about the Bible.
wow.
Verse 9. Then the Lord said to Cain, Where is your brother Abel?
Omnipotent.
Again.
He's omnipotent.
He's clearly not omnipotent. Either he's not omnipotent or he's just a piece of shit.
He's so condescending.
I don't know, he replied. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, I mean, you're the only two male adults so far, so that's pretty important, but whatever. The Lord said, What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out for me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. Wow.
Good imagery.
I know, that's actually good literary technique for the first time in this book.
Chills.
But why is God so upset about murder? As we'll see in the next chapter, he's all for murder. He's like Stalin, Hitler, Mao, Einstein.
Einstein. Yeah, he commits the most genocide.
Verse 12. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. So now he's banished again. So they were banished from Eden. I don't know, were they hanging out outside the gates or something? Did they not spread out at all?
He's double banished. But I don't know if you notice again, when you work the ground, it will no longer yield crops for you. Again, this is an allusion to appeasement. This is clearly their old religions and stuff of the area being like, oh, this is why that shit happens.
Yep, other religions seeping into Christianity.
Again.
Happens all the time. Verse 13. Cain said to the Lord, My punishment is more than I can bear. Today you are driving me from the land, and I will be hidden from your presence. I will be a restless wanderer on the earth, and whosoever finds me will kill me. Who's gonna find him? There's like
his brothers and sisters. They'd be like, oh, hey, Cain. They'd be like, shameful, and walk away. They only know each other.
There's absolutely no... It skips and it pretends like there weren't just only two people on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 15. But the Lord said to him, Not so.
Not so.
Nope. Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. One thing I'd like to point out, anyone who's super Republican, Christian for the death penalty, I think God just setting the record straight on that. Okay. Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. What's that mark look like?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably just a do not kill sign. But also, again, he knows everybody.
He knows everybody on earth at this point. So Cain went out from the Lord's presence and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Verse 17. Cain made love to his wife, his sister, by the way, as we pointed out. And it's nice that she could go with him, I guess. and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. To Enoch was born Irad, and to Irad was the father of Mehujael, and Mehujael was the father of Methushael, and Methushael was the father of Lamech.
Okay, so it says Cain was then building a city.
That's not a city, that's like a tent.
That's a single fucking shelter. That's all that is. A city, a whole city. Good. Single-handedly built a city.
Verse 19. Lamech married 2 women. Polygamy okay in the Bible?
It's cool.
One named Ada and another Zillah. Verse 20. Ada gave birth to Jabal. He was the father of those who live in tents and raise livestock. His brother's name was Jubal, and he was the father of all who play stringed instruments and pipes. Zillah also had a son, Tubal-Cain, who forged all kinds of tools out of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain's sister was Naamah.
Wow.
I'd like to point out, Bronze Age, apparently, like 3 generations into humanity. That's not bad.
And iron.
Yeah, as opposed to the real world where it took, after agriculture, division of labor, various occupations start popping up, then metallurgy a long time later.
Yeah.
Verse 23.
Random. This is so random. Just go.
Verse 23. Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Zillah, listen to me. Wives of Lamech. Here, wow, speaking in the third person.
Yeah.
Hear my words. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for injuring me. If Cain is avenged 7 times, then Lamech 77 times. Hold on. They say young man. He at best maybe 4th cousin.
Right, so he knew him, though.
So he had to know him.
Small community.
It's like our subscribers. Imagine our subscribers were a community.
Alright, and...
They'd probably all know each other, at least in passing. They wouldn't call him that young man. They'd say, yeah, that guy that hangs out in that area. We would know them.
8 injured me, so I stabbed him in the fucking neck. He'll like that. So, for no reason, Lamech feels the need to be like, yo, I killed a dude, and so you can't kill me back.
Verse 25. Adam made love to his wife again, and she gave birth to a son, and named him Seth. We're back to Adam and Eve again.
We're back to Adam and Eve.
We're so many generations later, it's almost like these people live for ridiculous amounts of time.
Yeah, actually at this point, it says that when he has Seth in his own image, and this is in Genesis 5, it says that Adam is 130 years old. So, good for him.
The oldest person in recorded history to ever live was from France. She lived, I believe, 120, maybe 122.
That sounds about right.
So that's the statute of limitations on age in the real world.
In real life.
Meanwhile...
Yeah, but also, in our $8 versions of the Bible, our NIV editions, it says, it's annotated, so at the bottom it'll have different notes and stuff. So when it says Seth, for us, there's a little superscript D there. And so you go down to the bottom, it says Seth probably means granted. So even in the names in the Bible, the people who read the Bible and retranslate it know that the names are allegorical. So it goes back to our point from before. All this shit is a big allegory.
Yeah.
Keep going.
God has granted me another child in place of Abel since Cain killed him. You think God was the policeman who had to knock on that door?
Oh, do you think she's even upset?
I don't think they understood. How do you understand? No one's died before that. Verse 26. Seth also had a son, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people began to call upon the name of the Lord. So this in the Bible is where prayer begins, supposedly.
Yeah.
All right.
Looks like it.
Upcoming here. Chapter 5, all genealogy. When we come to genealogy, generally we're probably just going to tell you it's there and skip it because it's bone dry. Me and Jake ourselves do read this personally, but we think for the purposes of a show it's boring. But since this is the first time and there are some glaring errors, I feel we need to address this.
We'll go over it a little bit.
So,
but if you want, it's Genesis chapter 5. It's not even a page. You can totally read it yourself if you absolutely need to. Think we're skipping something.
But Jake gets this more than me. He's more obsessive about it. So if you'd like, Jake, take it away with your thoughts on chapter 5.
Alright, so when we start chapter 5, the first line is, this is the written account of Adam's family line. So here's what happens, and I'll have a little graphic up so you guys can kind of follow along while I'm talking my crazy speak. Alright, so Genesis chapter 4. Genealogy goes, Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, Enoch, Irad, Mehujael, Methusael, and Lamech, and then he has his sons Jabal and Jubal. In chapter 5, it goes Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahulahel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and then to Noah. You can see right there, the two sides, first of all, they're not even equal. They're not even equal length. There's 2 extra on the right side. So, for argument's sake, we could just say Enoch and Enosh are the same person. Maybe it's a mistranslation, maybe it's a misspelling. Mahujael on the left side over here, and Mahulahel could be, dropped a letter, fucked it up a little bit. Methushael in the left side, and Methuselah could be the same thing. But still, you have these gaps where there's extra people. So it doesn't make any fucking sense.
As we said before, it's separate stories trying to come together to be one book. I like to think of it, imagine in 500 years, for whatever reason, they decided, we need to get Harry Potter, Twilight, and The Lord of the Rings all into one book. What do we do? Well, I mean, feasibly, you could kind of do it. You could change names to make characters the same. You could turn Bella into Hermione, so their story arcs somehow connect, because they're now the same character. You can turn Harry Potter into Bilbo Baggins. Dumbledore, obviously, he clearly becomes Legolas.
I like it.
But as much as you can try and connect these stories, there's always going to be disparities because they're not written to be together, and that's what we have here. We have different genealogies trying to come together. If evolution had as many holes in it as this sort of thing does,
we wouldn't even listen to it. We would be like, fuck you. I'm not a monkey. Who do I sound like?
But at least this story has an advantage to the point that it's fictional.
Right.
They could have fucked with this all they wanted and made it coherent. They chose not to. Or they're just morons.
It's so irritating. And I don't know if you can tell, it fucking drives me crazy, because I am a bit of a history nerd. I don't know if anyone's aware of that, but genealogy is kind of important when tracking a culture.
They can't do it within a page when there's only like 100 people in the world.
Literally on the same page.
Oh, and we went to a Christian website too to try and see how they explained this. They had a chart. Here's the chart.
Notice something? They don't say, oh yeah, this is how we reconcile it. They just split them. And they're like, fuck it. We don't know.
That would bother the shit out of me. That's not how...
How can you...
I don't know how... Maybe it's just us. I could not hold a belief that has something like that. And there's thousands of things like that in the Bible, but they just say, I don't know, and just continue to believe.
They disregard the left side completely.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, it ends there, now this side. No! You cannot do that. It's irresponsibly bad. It's so stupid.
So I think that's enough about that. I think we bored them enough. Okay. So, we'll end this with a little cliffhanger just saying, next time we get to the good stuff, we get to Noah.
Oh.
One of Christianity's favorite children's stories about genocide, and there's more than one. So, I think that about wraps this episode up.
I think so too. Just one thing on the docket today, one shout out. Our good friend Ray, you can check her channel out. It's Madison Ray. There's a space involved there. She's been making some short videos. She's pretty funny, and she's a good friend of ours, and you guys should check out her channel. It's pretty cool. And she likes to do finger guns. So
that goes with our gun cock. It works.
It does.
Any of you out there, thank you for all the subscribers. Anyone who isn't subscribed, please subscribe.
You should.
Yeah.
You really should. Your soul depends on it.
I know. I don't disagree. All right. You want to share? Anyone can share us on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, StumbleUpon, anything you possibly have.
And one last thing before we sign off here, we don't own our logo. This one right here. So just... why don't you guys try to make us a new one, huh? And whoever makes us a new one, and it's good, and we use it, and that'll be the new official logo. You guys get a super fun prize pack thing, and it's gonna be good. You'll really like it, I promise.
All right. So thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, I'm Hugo,
and I'm Jake,
and this has been The Bible Reloaded.
Science bless.
It's not even the same. I don't even have a statute of understanding the difference. But I mean, it's like fucking hallway hot dog.
Wow.